year from Untold Miracles. We are so grateful to our listeners and amazing celebrity guests for another incredible season. As we approach our 100th episode and the start of a new decade, we are thrilled to share more miracles, more inspiration, and more insights with all of you in our listening community. Today is a very special episode as we take a look back on the best moments from our 2019 season, the moments that made us tear up, burst out laughing, and feel inspired to create more miracles. We started the 2019 season with the one and only Rainn Wilson as he shared what inspired him to keep going in his early career.
There are large miracles and there are small miracles. This is what I believe. And I wanted to quit. Believe me, I almost tried to quit. I would very seriously consider quitting. I would look at my alternatives. Could I teach? Could I move to Portland, Oregon? Should I travel the world? Quit theater acting, show business? And I guess what happened for me is I started to try and hone a sensitivity toward the universe, trying to read the tea leaves, as it were. And as I wanted to quit, I would always get some little job or some little nibble that made me think, well, this is something leading me forward. This is something leading me beyond what I've just done. It might have just been a small thing. Maybe it was like I did one theater job and I got $500 a week, and then the next theater job I got $600 a week. But I would look at those little signs as like, it seems like the universe is still, in some way, shape, or form, even as difficult as this is, the universe is nudging me forward gently in some way. Those are little miracles that I think we all have to kind of sensitize ourselves to and look in our lives and look for those little signs.
Author Mitch Albom shared deep insights about handling loss and hardship. His inspirational words of overcoming loneliness still ring true months later.
I don't have time to be lonely. One of the reasons that people that I know who are not lonely work in the charity world is because every day they're encountering people who say, thank you for coming and thank you for being here. Thanks for helping me. Can you help me? It's one of the reasons I think we know and see a lot of people who have a lot of money who end up taking their own lives or turning to drugs. And at the core of it, they just feel sort of alone in the world. And you say, how can you be alone? You've got all this and you've got all that. But I've realized that what you got has nothing to do with how alone you feel. Sometimes when you're just busy taking care of yourself, that's the loneliest existence that there is, when you're just doting on yourself. But when when I open the car door at our orphanage and 47 kids come plowing at me and almost knock me over and jump all over me, there's no time to feel lonely because all of them need your tending to. They need your attention. They need food. They need loving and caring, and they need to be put to bed and told bedtime stories. And so there's not a minute to be lonely. And I kept that in mind when I was writing that particular person in heaven who was talking to Annie about loneliness. She feels lonely her whole life, but she realizes, well, the times she didn't feel lonely is when she became a nurse and she started helping people, or when she briefly became a mother and had a child to look after. And so sometimes we think like loneliness is something you catch, like, oh, I got the flu, oh, I got lonelies, I got the lonelies, But it's not that. It isn't physical. Like I say, it's just something that clouds your vision, the way you look at the world, and you see it through the eyes of a lonely person, and then the same good things can look bad to you. But if you just go out and help somebody, you'll feel so much less alone.
The inspiration kept flowing into the next episode as spiritual thought leader Byron Katie shared how to get rid of negative thoughts.
A negative thought is as we see it, as we understand it to be. If someone says, oh, it's a terrible world, I don't see a terrible world, but I'm in the presence of someone thinking the way I used to think that is living out of a terrible world. So compassion replaces agreement. Like prior to the work, someone would say, for example, oh, it's a terrible world. And I'd say, oh, I know. Oh, my gosh, it's just, there's poverty, there's death, there's, to me, wealth is a sane mind. A sane mind doesn't suffer. So really, you can see that no matter what negativity that someone would express or that I would think in my mind that doesn't morph into a friendly universe, and it's not something I'm doing on purpose, it's just how I understand the creator of everything, and that is the mind, the ego, as it creates a world, the appearance of a world that is unfriendly. So the work, this inquiry I bring to the world, it allows people to understand the cause of all suffering and what to do about it.
Hi, my name is Bella. Listen to the Untold Miracles podcast, where amazing celebrities talk about miracles. Check it out at untoldmiracles.org.
Most people on this planet won't know what it feels like to stand on an Olympic podium and get a gold medal, but gymnast Shawn Johnson described what that felt like for her.
As an athlete, you sacrifice your life for your passion, your hobby, and your sport. And for me, I had been training for 16 years. And to stand on that podium, it was almost like this. It's like crossing a finish line. You're kind of confused because you're standing on an Olympic podium and you're asking yourself, how did I get here? And you're happy because you are crossing a finish line and you can relax, and you're sad because you're crossing a finish line and it's kind of the end of an era, and you're proud and you're humbled, and it's just all of these things and all of these emotions rushing into you at once. And it's overwhelming. Like, I understand why you always see athletes crying on a podium, just because it's an overwhelming feeling, but it's the greatest feeling.
Professional golfer turned country rapper Colt Ford gives back whenever he can, and he shared how his childhood friend inspired him to support children's hospitals.
My buddy that lived next door to me, his name was David McGill, and David was the poster boy for spina bifida, but for us, he was just our buddy, I mean, he was just our buddy that we hung out with, and if we went to the skating rink, we pushed him. If we went to the store, we pushed him in his wheelchair, or we rode on a go-kart, we loaded him up or whatever. I mean, he was just our buddy, and to watch him every day get up and have a good attitude every day and be positive and want to do something good every day it was an amazing thing. And a little side story, I've known him for 30 years before he passed away, and they said he would live to be 18, but he lived to be 30. And when the day, I mean, I'd literally known him my whole life. We lived next door to each other, and I never knew his middle name. And at the time that he passed away, we were expecting our second child, which was a boy, and I found out his middle name was Reynolds, and so that's what I named my son, was Reynolds.
Influencer Becca Tilly discussed her time visiting Children's Hospital and seeing resilience in these kids that truly inspired her.
It's really interesting getting to meet the kids, but also the family members who are so involved in this, a lot of these kids, it's like all of a sudden their life is turned upside down, and it's also the families too. And so getting to see the kids and how resilient they are, because they're in a situation where I'm thinking if that were me at their age, I would not be. It's hard to imagine being so upbeat and positive. And I think it has a lot to do with the people like you and the people who are putting on these events to make life feel normal. But there was a boy I met last year, and his name was Carter, and I talked to he and his mom for a while, and he was flirting with all the girls and making Valentines for everybody, and then I saw him at prom last year, and it was just cool to see, like I said, in the middle of this battle that he's going through, dancing and having fun with his friends, and so it's really, I think, going to those events, it's so encouraging. They have this positivity and this light in the middle of this, dark time.
Sports can often teach valuable life lessons, and superstar Major League Baseball pitcher John Lackey shared what the game of baseball has taught him.
Perseverance, for sure. I mean, because baseball's a game of failure. I mean, if you hit 300, I mean, you're really good, and that's only 3 out of 10. So, and the other teams are good too. I mean, you're gonna get beat up sometimes, but you just got to keep coming back and keep working hard and keep competing. And that can apply in a lot of different things in life.
Hi, my name is Chloe. Subscribe to Untold Miracles for inspiring stories from your favorite celebrities and kids treated at CMN hospitals, just like me.
Some of the most beautiful advice this season came from the country artist Bailey Bryan. After being diagnosed with scoliosis as a child, she was treated at Seattle Children's. She told us how she embraces the scars in her life from her past traumas.
Everybody has scars, and a scar isn't necessarily something that you can see on the outside. Maybe it's lots of things you can see on the outside. Maybe it's something that only you know that you're going through on the inside. But everybody has them. And that's something that connects us. But our scars are also the things that make us extremely unique, which is what I think is so beautiful about these experiences and marks on our bodies and stuff like that. I think if you can learn to look at whatever you're going through, whatever is affecting you, as the thing that's making you so amazing, and not the thing that's going to break you or bring you down, then you can start to see these scars as a blessing. And it's not always easy. It doesn't mean that I love going through hard stuff. I love this hard thing in my life. Like, that's not what it means at all. Like, be sad, like, feel your feelings. But in doing that, you can grow. And I would say that, like, scars do heal, but you can continue to learn from them and grow from them for the rest of your life if you choose to see it that way.
Comedian and actor Howie Mandel shared what life lessons he's learned from comedy and how we can be more authentic in our lives.
Comedy's subjective, and so is life. You learn that your perspective from comedy, that whatever you think, even if you think something's funny, if you think something's beautiful, if you think something's entertaining, if you think something's, that we're all different and we all see things differently. Nobody sees things exactly like you. So just don't try to please everybody, because you can't, and just try to please yourself. And that's what I say, like, even to and maybe that's what the youth and people like Angelica Hill and Kristin, they don't have anybody else to compare themselves with that's like them, that have gone through whatever they went through, but they just own it. And that's what people respond to. Is just that joy of being in the moment. And you'll find the difference between them and other people, and whether it's comedy or whatever it is, just even in life, people that are trying to please other people or doing what they think other people will like, there's not an authenticity, or it's not authentic, and people just subliminally know that. So whoever goes after whatever they go with such gusto and that's why people respond to children. You watch somebody who's in their world of make-believe, there's such joy, and so it's so contagious just to see somebody enjoying and just wrapped up in their own little world. And if they're having that much joy, it just pulls you in. And that's what these young people that show up on the stage do. And then when you watch somebody a little bit older, they make choices that are maybe, and you can even see that with young people whose parents have made choices for them. You know what I mean? That doesn't sound like you love the song as much as, well, who made you sing that song? And we find out their mom made them sing that song. Well, maybe if you were true to yourself, we would have felt better.
Supermodel Lily Aldridge shared how the fashion industry is changing to be more inclusive, and shares what it was like to walk the runway 5 months pregnant.
I think the modeling world is changing in a really wonderful way. It's becoming less about being this perfect cookie cutter image and becoming more about diversity and body shapes and personality and inner beauty and stuff, which I think is so important. And to be able to work pregnant, when I was pregnant the first time, my work really stopped at like 3 months pregnant. People were like, okay, goodbye, see you later, Lily. And, so I just kind of thought it was going to be like that, even though when I was pregnant with Dixie, I remember being like, this is the time to shoot me. I look so beautiful. I'm carrying life.
And there's a special glow, too.
Yes, and you just feel, at least from, when I was pregnant, I just felt so beautiful and so empowered and womanly, and I just loved it. So when I was pregnant this time, Brandon invited me to walk the runway, and I can't express, I have goosebumps just talking about it, just like how empowered and beautiful I felt, and how encouraged I felt by all the other women backstage and the women in the audience, like, were cheering me on as I was walking, because it's not typical to walk pregnant, and it was really embraced by everybody, and it felt just like a beautiful moment. And I mean, I worked for Ralph Lauren till about 8 months pregnant. They wanted to continue shooting me throughout my whole pregnancy. I worked for Vogue 8 months pregnant, and it felt great. It felt like really important, and I felt really honored to be able to do that, because it's a beautiful time in a woman's life.
Millions of baseball players wait their whole careers to hear they've made it to the big leagues. American icon Cal Ripken Jr. told us what it felt like to start his Major League Baseball career.
Well, it's the greatest feeling you ever have when the manager tells you you're going to the big leagues. You're going to the show. And there's many funny stories about that where managers try to deceive you about why they're calling you in the office, only to give you the good news. I don't have one of those stories. My manager, with great pride, after a game in Syracuse, I came back to Rochester. It was late at night, and he called me into his office, and he goes, "You're going to the big leagues tomorrow. Congratulations." So I still get a chill that runs down the back of my spine just telling you that story. And so I got up really early, got in the car, and drove to Baltimore. It took about 6 hours from Rochester, New York. And that started my my big league career. But it's all the work that you put in, and you don't know if you're going to make it at that point. You know that you've done everything that you can to get that call. But then the next step is one of the biggest steps. So I was really happy, but there was a lot of work cut out in front of me.
Hi, my name is McKenna. Listen to the Untold Miracles podcast where amazing celebrities talk about miracles. Check it out at untoldmiracles.org.
We knew when we had comedian and actor Adam DeVine on the show, there would be lots of laughs. One story that had us cracking up was how Adam got kicked off his first ever movie set at 15 years old.
Alexander Payne was the director. He wanted real-life extras, like extras that worked at the grocery store. So this movie about Schmidt, Jack Nicholson's the star of it. They were shooting in my hometown. They were shooting at my grocery store. They wanted real-life extras. I was real life. So I worked at the grocery store. I'm like 15 years old. I had just started walking again after my accident, and my job was to stock shelves. So I was like, we need someone to stock a shelf in the background while Jack Nicholson gets milk. And I'm like, I'm just the guy. And so I'm in the background stocking the shelf, but I keep like angling my face out to get more on camera. And the director's like, cut. Hey, for all the background, I'm like, there's me and one other guy. It's definitely me. For all the background, this isn't Jack Nicholson. You're not in a movie, so definitely don't look at the camera. Cool. And then they're like, and action. And then I do the same thing again. This time I put my shoulder back, so it's just more of my body's in frame. And now I'm stocking shelves like how no one would ever stock a shelf, like a giraffe. And then they cold cut, and they're like, great, we're going to have you stock shelves over here. And then I'm like, whoo, upgrade. It's my time to shine. And I'm like, this is my big break. And then they have me start stocking shelves behind the camera. I was just doing work at that point. They just put me back to work. And I never made it in the cut of the movie.
It was really fun to interview actress Melissa Joan Hart and hear what her childhood dreams were.
Shirley Temple was my idol growing up. I just loved Shirley Temple. So I wanted to be a triple threat like her. I wanted to be able to sing, dance, and perform. I wanted to be able to razzle-dazzle adults. And, I definitely loved her appeal and what she brought to the screen and how she brought the Depression era out of depression, really. She helped bring a smile to everyone's faces. And I really loved that about her. I mean, a lot of my friends were always into Marilyn Monroe because she was so sexy and beautiful. But I was like, yeah, and then what? Shirley Temple went on to be the ambassador to Ghana. It's like there's more. And Shirley kind of reading her autobiography and then eventually meeting her, and it really kind of set me straight, too, as far as seeing dreams come true. But dreams are, my dream was always to be a mom. My dream was never really to be rich or famous or on TV or any of that. It was really all about having a family and having good friends and going to parties and, not necessarily Hollywood parties, but parties where I knew everybody. And that's kind of what I always imagined I wanted my grown-up life to be like. And that's the job part, just like a lot of people in the world, I think, work is work. And I have a really special job, and it allows me a lot of things, including storytelling and dressing up and going to fancy parties and meeting famous people. But that's fun and all, but the thing that I always wanted was being with my family.
I was absolutely honored to interview my dear friend Isaiah Acosta, who is the world's first mute rapper. He is so inspirational and shared how he handles being bullied and negativity.
I must be honest, I have been bullied most of my life. I still get bullied now online. Some stuff just shocks me. At first, some of the stuff angered me or upset me. I'm human with feelings. It did make me stronger. To be honest, I don't let it bother me. The reason is they don't know me or anything about me as a person. All they see is a person that looks different. I'm sure it makes them feel better about themselves to make fun of somebody else. People like that don't understand what we go through. They can't accept that we still can live a happy life. I'm full of life. I won't let no one take that from me, and neither should you. If you're getting bullied, you don't have to do this alone. Talk to your parents or an adult. Don't bottle it up. Don't let anybody steal your happiness or smile. That person is not worth it. You are not alone.
She has complete hearing loss in one ear, but she views her deafness as a superpower. Meilin Germans' magical voice wowed audiences all over the world when she won season 16 of The Voice.
Because I was so young, I think that I got used to not being able to hear out of one ear. That felt very normal for me. Through the surgeries, I think it was the recovery time and the pain that was the worst part of growing up, and how I always had earaches. I couldn't go underwater. I couldn't go swimming like other kids could. Actually, when I started noticing a hearing problem, because I started also losing the hearing in my other ear, and it's everyday life. It's talking. I have to stand on a specific side of somebody, or when we're walking down the street. But the only time I ever felt whole and like it was not a disability was through music, because music is all about vibrations and it's more about feeling. And I think also because I have music in my family as something that I think is just ingrained in me and in my person, I did have that advantage. But I also think that it was a way for me to feel normal, and I would get on a stage and I didn't have any problem hearing, and didn't feel that disability. I was very lucky to have parents who never treated it like a disability. It was very much just, a part of who I was. And I do believe it's a superpower because, you see singers plug one of their ears to hear themselves. Yeah. I kind of feel like that's what I'm doing all the time. But also, I think I just have a different relationship to music because I go based off of how it feels.
Hi, my name is Bella. Listen to the Untold Miracles podcast, where amazing celebrities talk about miracles. Check it out at untoldmiracles.org.
Figure skater Adam Rippon's journey to the Olympics was full of ups and downs, and he shared how he overcame hardship to stand on the Olympic podium.
It was a long process, but I think being in that rock bottom state really pushed me to reach further than I ever would have thought to reach before. And I think that I skated the whole next season, the whole beginning of it, like I just didn't know what I was doing. In the last one, the last part of it, I remember going to the national championships in 2015, and I just had this mindset of, you know what, this might be the last time I ever skate, but like, if it's the last time I ever skate, I'm gonna, make it the best ever. Even if there are mistakes, I'm not gonna give up. I'm gonna push. I'm gonna just give it my all and not have any regret. And it was sort of the first time that I actually really felt it in my core. That, no regrets doesn't mean going and doing something perfectly. No regrets means giving it 100% no matter the result, and being proud of that, knowing that you gave your best. And that's what no regrets means. That's what I started to do as an athlete.
Not only is Paris Hilton one of the most recognized celebrities in the world and a businesswoman with a billion-dollar brand, she is also a huge advocate for giving back to charity.
Since I was a little girl, that's something that was really instilled in me by my mother and father, the importance of giving back and being kind and making others happy. And I feel that I've been so blessed in life that it's a duty of mine to
give back to others. And there's no feeling like it in the world when you could bring happiness into someone's life, especially someone who's really in need of it.
The next clip from actor Zachary Levi was so incredibly powerful as he shares how he went from suicide to superhero through a journey of self-love.
I was super grateful that I got to be in the Thor franchise. Played a really fun role of Sandal the Dashing, but we weren't really utilized all that much in that franchise, and then ultimately were kind of quickly and unceremoniously killed off in the third one. And in the moment, I was kind of salty. I was a little. I was not in a great place in my life. I didn't realize just how unhappy and unhealthy I was. But you know, it's easy to not know how unhealthy and unhappy you are when you can look at the things happening around you as the reasons why. You can. They're almost. You know, it's not you that needs to work on you. It's all those other things need to work better for you. So so that happened, and then I moved out to Texas, and then went through some just really gnarly darkness. I think it was basically my 37 years of life catching up to me at that moment, and all of the traumas and abuses that I was unaware of that had happened to me, that I didn't get healing enough from. And it brought me to my knees in every possible way. And fortunately, I had family and friends that surrounded me and loved me, and found this incredible organization that does, like, you know, just super intensive kind of sleepaway therapy kind of stuff. And it saved my life. I was an active part of saving my own life. And I came out of that basically right on the heels of finishing my treatment and finding the light again. And I get this random email from my agency saying, hey, we know you're on a retreat right now, but there's another role, a supporting role in the movie Shazam. Would you take a look at this and let us know if you want to put yourself on tape for it? No pressure, just, you know, it's there. And I was like, you know what? I think I'm feeling better. Why not? I'm going to put myself on tape for this. I sent it in, and that was on a Friday night. And that Friday night, everyone in charge of the movie, the producers, the studio, the writer, director, everybody had seen my tape. And they called my agency back and they said, hey, he's great for this role, but we think he might actually be our Shazam. We haven't cast that role yet. And then through a series of just incredible miraculous, timing and events, miraculous. I went from being not Shazam and auditioning for a supporting role in Shazam to being Shazam within 1 week, from Friday to Friday. And that was on the heels of going and doing this life-changing, life-saving therapy.
That gives me goosebumps.
Kind of going from suicide to superhero.
Self-love can be so difficult to implement fully in our daily lives. Spiritual thought leader Gabby Bernstein gave us some tips.
I will often use that choose again method and start to reach for a better feeling thought, or I will let myself feel whatever I'm feeling in that moment. Because when we're having a thought that's like that, there's a feeling that needs to be released. And so I'll give myself permission to feel completely. That concept of wanting more for others will create more of what we want. When we're jealous or judgmental or attacking, then we're really blocking our capacity to receive. And we're blocking our capacity to give what we're really meant to give, which is that love. And so when we get into a negative state of judgment and attack, it can be really detrimental to our energy and to the relationships that we have as well. So really giving yourself that freedom from judgment is going to allow you to attract more into your life.
It was a blast to have Mr. Greg Norman, one of the greatest golfers of all time, on the podcast. We absolutely loved his life motto.
My motto would be attack life. I mean, just get everything out of it you possibly personally can. It's not taking things away from other people, but get everything out of it you personally can get, right?
Right.
An example is, I'll give you an example. Like last night, it was a long, exhausting day, and I needed to go to the gym, and it took me 20 minutes to get motivated to go to the gym. I stood there, and I walked around in my gym, and I said, I'm not ready. I don't want to do it. And then all of a sudden, an hour and a half later, I'm done. Right? So you just make sure you attack the moment. And that moment might take a while to get there. And that moment might happen in a nanosecond. You just got to do it for yourself.
Hi, my name is Chloe. Subscribe to Untold Miracles for inspiring stories from your favorite celebrities and kids treated at CMN hospitals, just like me.
You would never guess that ESPN commentator and host would be terribly shy. Sage Still talked about overcoming her shyness to fulfill her childhood dream of being a sportscaster.
I was just born shy, and so it was really hard to, make friends whenever we'd switch schools, and then we'd be in different countries where our neighbors, spoke different languages. Fortunately, kids can always find a way to communicate when you're just playing kickball on the street. But one of the things that I'll never forget as a kid is sitting on the couch on Saturday and Sunday with my dad and watching sports, no matter what part of the world we lived in. And so that's where my love of sports began. And then I was an okay athlete, but I knew that I'd never be good enough to do anything past probably high school. And I was right. So I just thought that was talking about sports and telling stories was like the second best thing besides being an athlete, and I wanted to understand their stories. I remember watching the 1984 Olympics. We had just moved into our house in Colorado Springs, no furniture yet, the trucks were coming, and I remember we had a tiny little 12-inch TV that you had to lean over and actually turn the knob to turn the channel and the dial to turn up the volume. This was a long time ago. And the Olympics, watching it, I was like, I have to be part of the story somehow. So I told my parents and my younger brothers, and listen, I have the most supportive family in the history of families. They're the best. But they kind of laughed. And they're like, how are you going to do that, hon? And listen, we support you. We'll do whatever it takes. But, sweetheart, you're going to have to talk. And you're going to have to change in order to make it. I will tell you, I'm now almost 47, and I still walk in a room and I get a little nervous and I have to flip that switch. But I still feel shy sometimes. It doesn't go away.
Right.
It really doesn't go away. So every day, sometimes I shake my head because I'm like, wow, I made it. Sometimes I don't know how the heck it happened, but I'm here and I'm not leaving until they kick me out.
Tony and Emmy Award winner Kristin Chenoweth is beloved for her iconic Broadway and TV roles. She recently reached a bucket list item for her, singing with the Tabernacle Choir.
It was something that I'd always wanted to do. I always wanted to come and sing with the choir my whole life. And finally got to happen, and there was a lot of work and preparation that everyone put into it. So by the time we got to the actual week of rehearsals and performances, I just felt like it was fun. It was so much fun. Also to have an orchestra and a choir behind you, in front of you, supporting you, and me supporting them, I just felt like we made music together. We laughed a lot, and the audience was, of course, the third character in the play, so to speak. They, too, enjoyed it. And when you're in a room with people who are there for, to celebrate the Christ's birth at Christmas time with all that music, it's just too good to be true. A lot of bucket list moments happened for me that week.
Next, we had NFL Hall of Famer Brian Urlacher on the podcast, and he shared why he loves visiting children's hospitals across North America.
Just to see some of the kids and what they're going through and the battles that they have ahead of them still. It's amazing to see what the positive attitude that they're able to keep during this whole process and the smiles on their faces, to see the outlook they have on their future. And they're not going through the best time right now when you're in there, but their outlook on their future is amazing. It's inspiring for me to go in there, honestly. Just that adversity I've never faced in my life. A life-threatening disease or anything like that, the cancer, I've never faced anything like that in my life. So to see just the adversity they're able to overcome and to keep the positive outlook they have on life. And their families as well. The families are amazing as well. Not to mention the employees at the hospital are just awesome. They keep it positive the whole time. You go in there and you leave feeling great. Every time I ever gone in there, I leave feeling like $1 million, because it's just to be around people like that, and the positiveness you get is amazing. I love taking my kids as well. That's a great thing.
A very special episode came from Seacrest Studios at Monroe Carroll Jr. Children's Hospital at Vanderbilt, where a panel of kids helped me interview country star Cole Swindell. He told a hilarious story about Dierks Bentley and answered questions from kid patients.
I hear that you are in Dierks' phone as COAL. Is that true?
That is very true. That I met him back. That's when I was doing merch for Luke, selling his T-shirts. We went on tour with Dierks Bentley, and got to know each other. I was the T-shirt guy. He treated me just like I was on stage with him, and that just says a lot about who he is. But I remember him getting my number, and I don't know what made him spell it like that. But once he realized that's not how you spell his name, he kept it like that because that's how Dierks is. He wants to remember when he met me, and That's such a cool story. I'm glad you brought that up. He can put me as COAL in his phone all he wants to. I'm cool with that, as long as I'm in his phone. So.
Okay, Kennedy has another question.
What is your favorite song to perform?
Oh, y'all got some tough questions. I have multiple answers for all these, but for me right now, I'm going to go with my song that kind of got it all started. It's called "Chillin' It," and it's just a fun, lighthearted song that always, hopefully, it puts a smile on everybody's face. And to me, it kind of takes me back to what got me started. So, "Chillin' It" is my answer for that.
Hi, my name is McKenna. Listen to the Untold Miracles podcast where amazing celebrities talk about miracles. Check it out at untoldmiracles.org.
Our next episode also came from Seacrest Studios at Monroe Carroll Jr. Children's Hospital at Vanderbilt with country music artist John Party. His biggest miracle in his life will blow you away.
When I was 18, I got stabbed. A guy came up and hit me in the face. And I got back and was like, "Wah!" And somewhere in that, he pulled out a knife and stabbed me. And I don't know, I survived. I have long arms. So I think that's what kind of helped the knife not go into organs. So it's a crazy world.
I've asked a lot of guests on this podcast that question, and I've never had an answer like that. So we're grateful that you survived that, and you're here today to inspire the world with your music and your voice.
I didn't mean to get real gangster on you, okay? It wasn't even, it was in the country, okay? Sorry.
We love our Untold Miracles community. Thank you for listening to our 2019 season and making it another successful year. Our 2020 season begins in 2 weeks, and we are so excited to share more miracles with you. Upcoming guests include actor Mark Wahlberg and country stars Noah Schnacky and Eric Pasley. Thank you for listening to Untold Miracles, and Happy New Year.